Emmaus Borough Council meeting to order. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, Mr. Labenberg has not arrived as of
now.
Yet.
Ta-da!
I take that back, Paula. You can strike that.
She was just saying for the record you weren't here.
Mr. Labenberg showed at 7:01. Personal appeals, part 1. Anyone with a personal appeal, please step forward, sign in, state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Mark Fisher. The address is 723 North 2nd Street.
You said North 2nd Street, sir?
Yes, North 2nd Street.
Go ahead.
I've prepared hard copy if you'd like.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
I'll simply go straight to the issue. An error in a billing address leads to over $1,800 in penalties and lawyer fees. The process was proceeding to the loss of my $20,000 home. Background. I'm Mark Fisher, the owner and occupant of 723 North 2nd Street, Emmaus, 18049. The property belonged to my father, Paul Fisher, who bought it in 1985. He died and the property was willed to me and title was transferred to me. At that time, I lived at 4912 Gainsport Circle, Irvine, California. I had all bills, gas, water, taxes sent to that address. On August 30th, 2011, I moved to Emmaus and took up residence at 723 North 2nd Street. I filled out a move-in form, paid $1 to the Borough of Emmaus. At that time, I filed a change of address form with the United States Postal Service that was good for 1 year. I received my 2012 Lehigh property tax, East Penn school tax, and borough of taxes at 723 North 2nd Street. They were forwarded by the UPS, and I believe notification of the address change was sent to the center has been done with other bills. In March of 2014, I received a certified notice of delinquent tax payment from Lehigh County sent to the 723 North 2nd Street address. Wasn't sure how I could have misplaced the colorful bills, but I had no record of payment. I went to the government building in Allentown, paid in full, $4,273.89, including penalties and fees of $417.08, detailed in the notice. I thought that was the end of it. In September of 2014, I found out he did not have any tax bills for 2014. I'm sorry, that's incorrect, for 2014, other than the cent tax and Berkheimer, which I paid. On October 7th, I went to the Emmaus tax collector and asked for a copy of the 2014 bill and found that my billing address was still showing as 4912 Gainsport Circle, Irvine, California. The tax collector, Dennis Gouldy, provided me with the 2014 borough and school bills, and I immediately paid the school tax bill that was past the discount phase but not at penalty. I also found out that my 2014 property tax and borough tax were in the penalty phase and that an additional 10% fee was outstanding on both bills. Dennis could not provide me with a Lehigh County property tax bill and directed me to the Lehigh County building at 7th and Hamilton. He also informed me that the borough taxes for 2013 were delinquent and had been sent to collection with a form of Dimmick and Dingelacher. I went to the county, found that their records were showing this California address. They claimed to have not received a change of address from the borough. I filed a change of address form immediately. I then called the law firm of Dimmick and Dingelacher at 610-398-1800 and spoke to Jackie. I asked if they were looking for Mark Fisher, and she replied yes. She informed me that a lien for $2236.88 had been filed against my residence. Of that $2236,933 were the borough taxes due with penalties added. The remaining $1,300 were for lawyers' fees and interest at 18%. In trying to find ServMe in California, I asked Jackie if they sent a letter to the property address. The answer was no, and she was quite defensive. She stated if she had to do that, her job would never get done. She indicated that some people lied about where they were/lived. She did equivocate and stated she wasn't saying that I lied. I requested that the bill be sent to my residence in Pennsylvania. I provided my phone number, which is in the local phone directory, and asked if my contact with the firm meant that no further charges would be added to the current balance. She said yes. Process problems. The borough had information that I lived at 723 North 2nd Street and provided that information to Centex and Berkheimer taxing bodies. Those tax bills I've been receiving. However, that information was not sent to Lehigh County. When it came to issuing the borough taxes, the borough relied on the county's address information FTP site, which was not updated. Lehigh County did send a notice to the property address in Pennsylvania. The borough of Emmaus did not. The law firm of Dimmick and Dingelager did not see fit to contact me at the property address by mail or by phone and does not see a need to do so. They've run up a bill of $1,300 searching for me, but could not afford me the courtesy of sending a letter or placing a phone call. They, however, did know how to place a lien on my house at that same address. My house is fully paid for, no one walks away and hides from a $933 tax bill on a paid-for house. Conclusion. Lehigh County did not have my new address. They stated they did not receive a change address for 3 different tax bills for 2013. That's a finger-pointing exercise between Lehigh County and the borough of Emmaus. I will probably never be able to prove that one way or the other on my own. And though I never received the bills, I believe I am legally liable for them and penalties. The issue with the lawyers is another case. In my opinion, their failure to show due diligence in trying to contact me is incompetent at best. It is also self-serving and a possible conflict of interest in padding their bill to the detriment of the taxpayer. It is my understanding that the board elected to retain this firm for 2013, and as such, the board must take responsibility for their actions or inactions. Lehigh County does see the need to contact the owner at the property address and sends it certified to prove they did it. Had this been done for the tax year 2012, the borough's bill would have been included in that notification. You would have had your money, and the additional $1,300 would not have been incurred. What I want. As a minimum, I ask that the law firm be directed to attempt to contact the property owner at the property address as the county does. It appears at this time I am not the only taxpayer with a separate billing address in this situation. Since the process is being followed is flawed, I ask that the fees be reversed and the lien be removed immediately. Since I did not actually receive the tax bill in question and the borough was in possession of my address, I ask that the 10% penalties for 2013 and 2014 be rescinded. I will forego the 2% discount for early payment, and I will immediately pay the 2 outstanding 2014 bills. I'm in possession of a bill for $2236.88 from Dimmick and Dingelacher good through October 30th. If we cannot resolve this problem before then, I will be forced to pay the bill to protect my property from a faulty process and then proceed to recover costs by other means. My total damage per the letter from the lawyers are lawyers' fees and interest of $1,303.45, the 2013 late charges paid to Lehigh County and Borough of Emmaus/School for $479.08, and Emmaus Borough late fees pending for $84.80, and 2014 late charges pending for $99.43 and $74.66. I can be reached at the property address, and I didn't make 10 copies of it, but I do have a copy of your own internal notification when I come in. Would you like to have one? Should I give it to you?
Yes, please. Mr. Leibenberg, if you could get that copy.
Right here, Mr.
We'll take it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's a copy of the move-in form that you seal when you move in to the county, stating what my previous address was, what my property address is, and you were in possession of that information. So I see that there were 3 possible ways this could have been resolved. That form gave you notification. We can talk about whether the United States Postal Service did its business or not, but since the bills were being forwarded to me, I certainly believe that the notification of the new address was in place. And the last is that the county sees fit to notify you by certified mail. Your process does not do that. That's the end of my issue. Any questions?
Are you paid up and in compliance with all your bills at this time except the lawyer's bill?
I am not in compliance with the 2014 because 10% penalties would be due. I will pay them as soon, but I basically have till December 31st on those because the 10%
Okay.
penalty is already incurred.
So you just haven't paid 2014 taxes because it's already at the level, so you
It's
have
already
time.
at penalty, and
So you
therefore
have time to try
I
and
have
work it
time
out
to take
before you
care
pay.
of that. However, I
Understood.
did pay the school taxes because they would go to penalty at the end of this month, and Dennis is in possession of that check, and I have paid the $31.57 property taxes.
Thank you for that information.
Mr. Leibniz, I'm sorry.
It's
Go
okay.
ahead.
Is not the moving permit sole purpose of knowing who is moving to a residence?
Yeah, but this is different. This is a property tax on a property. Something like this, the only way that we would know, as far as that goes, is a change of title. And I think that's where some of the problem is here. For example, I buy your house, all the paperwork goes to the right places. This isn't what happened here. I think the house is in the state's name. So it won't go to the county, it won't go to the school district. I think maybe some of the issue is that the house was in the estate's name, because the realtors and the attorneys and the banks, when they do all the mortgage paperwork or all the title transfer paperwork, we get the results. We don't conduct the work there. So the moving permits, absolutely, but that's renters. But we never have ever sent anything to the school, to the county, to anybody else but ourselves for moving permits, simply because it takes care of itself if somebody buys a house. So we would not notify the county. We would not notify the school district. That's for internal uses, for wage taxes, for, as he said, Berkheimer got their information. That's who we would share that information with. We would not know that somebody in his family had died necessarily if he moved into the borough and we did a simple moving permit. He comes in, he fills out his dollar permit.
Right. I
fills
already
it
Okay,
was
so-
the property owner at that time. Therefore, you didn't get a change of ownership at the time that I moved in. That occurred 2 years previously.
And if that wasn't communicated at the time to the girls, they would not even. That's not something that.
Yeah.
They-
The form
they
that
would
I showed
communicate.
you, Dennis Goulden says he does not receive. That is not part of his process. The
That's
form
right.
that I sent you.
That's right.
Mr. Leibniz.
What-
If you want me to try to answer,
Well,
I'm sort of hit with it cold. It would have been nice to have seen
Can
this
I
and
can
been
I finish
able to
my
give you all
part
complete.
before you start responding to your
Sure.
lawyer part? The Berkheimer address change was forwarded, correct?
Absolutely.
And that happened because of the
Because
moving
it's
permit?
a per capita.
Okay.
So every moving permit that comes in, because we do the per capita taxes,
Okay,
and that's a resident-based tax.
okay.
We would send it over per capita, but we don't send every moving permit over to Dennis.
And then my last question is, can we accommodate his request for the penalties?
I think you contract their firm to do that. So I think that's a question for your solicitor.
Or are you referring to the 10% penalty added to the tax bill?
Yes, I am.
I still think that's probably a question for your
Well,
solicitor.
and, okay, if he proceeds with a lawsuit, does that go to the borough or does it go to the solicitor?
Who's going to defend it?
So we're going to pay it. Okay, so we
But
have a say, I would think we have a say in this.
I
thing.
think you have some legal questions you need answered by your
No,
solicitor.
I agree, but
That's
I'm just
that's what we pay
saying,
him for. So I would
But-
ask him.
if we don't refund what he's requesting, then we end up paying legal fees for a lawsuit.
I would refer it to him.
Okay.
And if he says you can do it, then vote and do it. But I would ask him first.
All right,
Mr.
let's
Solicitor?
start with the most elementary thing. I understand his problem, but as a practical matter, everything that has been done is in accordance with the state statutes. In other words, before we even go to a lien, you get a certified letter sent to the address, the property owner, and then after that, if that's
the
not
billing address of the property owner, not to the property address.
Let the solicitor answer, okay?
and then we send a second letter if there is no response and it's not picked up. Only after that is a lien filed, and it's very nominal cost to a person if they don't respond within that time. And if you'll also notice, the state and the county publish in the morning call every year a notice saying that even if you don't get a bill, if it's lost in the mail, you're responsible for taxes. Everyone knows there's a school tax, a real estate tax, a county tax and a borough tax. The problem here is that he feels that he has been wrong. We have followed the exact mandates of the state statute, and also you started with the tax collector, who's an elected official over whom we have no control. Now, we get the information from the tax collector, but we have no control over what the tax collector does in sending the bills out and the communications that are done there. All we get is a delinquency list that says this property is delinquent, and we then take that and we notify, and we, in accord with the law, we notify the people. Now, your second question is, do you have a right to waive the interest? In my opinion, you do. It is something you should take with great care, because once you start opening the door for people who have made their own mistake and not followed the law, then you open the door to that. On the attorney's fees, I'd be glad to talk to you. It's not that we haven't done the work, because we did it. But we can talk about that. But as a practical matter, the mistake here is not the boroughs, it's not the lawyers, it's the property owners. And I know he doesn't want to hear it, and I know he feels that he has been wronged. The truth is, the borough is the party that has been wronged. They did not get their money for an extended period of time, not just for 1 year, but we're talking 3 years. And that is somewhat surprising. It's up to you.
May I respond?
Yes.
With respect to your comment that the fees are nominal, the first step of your process incurred $650.
Sir, the first step is $100. I know it. They set it. They set the fees.
Before we go any further,
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Mr. Barrett's making a motion to extend his 5 minutes. Second by Mr. Brown. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 7 ayes. Okay.
All I have is your billing, and the first bill I got shows $650 for the first document. The second document, the Siri Fascia, is another $650.
See, you let it go all the way to lawsuit. In other words,
And how would I have prevented it? I had no notification. Yes, I'm aware of what the law says, and if it was a matter of you sent out a letter and I said, hey, I didn't get it, I can understand that finger pointing. But at this point, I can show where it went and where it went wrong at this point.
We have to keep a green card, because those are certified letters that we send out. So we know where it went, and we know if you didn't take it. We know that.
And you did not send one to the property address. It's not even part of your process. That's the whole point.
You're telling us that it didn't. Where did it go then?
It went to California. This is a case where the billing address and the property address are different. That's the whole core of the problem. The billing address did not get corrected. It didn't appear to do it through that notification. It didn't appear to do it through 3 notifications to the United States Postal Service. And maybe you're following the legal process, but the County of Lehigh sees it's necessary to send a certified notice, which she has a copy of, which is how I became aware of the issue for 2013.
Okay,
and it's not 3 years in taxes.
If you want, I will look at this, because as I said, you're hitting me. What you may be saying is accurate, but I doubt it. But I will look at it. As a practical matter, the law is very clear, and we just go step by step by step, and we give everybody as many chances as we
And it's conceivable
can.
that the process failed in that the borough should have, in fact, secured the proper address.
I
before they handed
understand
it
your
to you.
argument,
I don't know.
but
All
the
I can say-
manager has explained that fairly clearly, that wouldn't be something that they would do. It really isn't. That comes from the assessment office, and that's where it comes from.
Then you have a totally open-ended process, and yes, you have the law to protect you. And I'm sorry, I'm an engineer. I come from logic and common sense, not the letter of the law. I understand it. I even noted that fact. But I think this is a sufficient issue. This is the first year that you're doing it. I do note that you have a number of properties that are on your list, and a lot of them have separate billing and property addresses. So I might be the tip of the iceberg, sir.
Well, let's put it this way. We've had no problems, and we have been much more efficient at collection than the Tax Claim Bureau, not to denigrate the Tax Claim Bureau.
Couldn't find
our
me.
predictions have been just what I had told the council. You could get any private collector, it wouldn't be us. There's others that do it. As you know, I think the school district uses a private collector. Almost everyone has gone to private collectors because, as you know, the delinquent pays the fee, and instead of having you pay the 5% to the Tax Claim Bureau. Let me look at it, okay? I will look. All I can say is I will look at it, and I will get you a response, and I will get council a response. But I can virtually guarantee you that it was done right by the letter of the law, right down the line.
And my comment would be, you started this process, new process, in 2013. If you'd followed the process for 2012, the borough's bill would have been included in the notification that I got from the County of Lehigh. So you had a change in process, and I wasn't notified of the change of process clearly.
Mr. Brown, you had a comment.
Yeah, just clarification. We have authority over our, Mr. Pepe, maybe you can,
Yeah, nobody
or
else.
Mr. Solicitor. We have authority over our 10% penalty fees. And
I
we
believe
don't
you
have
do.
we do not have authority over your fees. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You can talk, not
correct.
really, but you can certainly. We would
No,
work
I'm just
with you.
making
Yes.
sure that that's your issue.
Well, except that you set our fees, and
I understand that.
and we would always try to
But in this
accommodate
situation
you.
here, if there was a case to say, okay, we want to refund those fees, but we cannot do that, so with your fees, that is something that you and Mr. Fisher have to take up, correct?
It would probably be best, and I would do. Look, we've worked with people to get payment schedules and give them as much time as possible to pay this and to avoid the attorney's fees and costs. We feel that that's something totally different than the county, who is just A, B, C, and bang. That's it. The next thing you know, you're in an upset sale, and then you're at a judicial sale. It's a much better system, but it's not a particularly. It's not where we make our money. It is an extra service. We do make some money, but it is not substantial.
Mr. Holtaker.
Can we send this issue to committee and then await Mr. Dimick's response so we have two sides of the story before we make any decisions or have any further discussion?
I think that
Yes,
would
we
be
can.
very good.
What committee would you like to send it to?
It can go to Budget and
You want
Finance.
to
I
budget
don't
and
mind taking
finance,
it.
since
Yes,
we do
ma'am.
meet Thursday?
Yes.
All right, then that's what we'll do. We'll refer it to committee. In the meantime, Mr. Solicitor, if you could review the file on this.
I will do so, Madam President.
And we have a meeting. We have a meeting Thursday
Thursday?
afternoon. if we
Thursday, what time?
3:30. I'm
3:30.
assuming. Just if we could
3:30?
have a little bit of your information to make a better decision.
Well, yeah, as I say, if I would have seen this or known about it, if he would have called me instead of calling a paralegal or said that there was a problem, I would have certainly addressed it at that point. I didn't even know there was an issue.
Thank you.
In fact, when I sat down with Mr. Pepe tonight, I said the numbers have come in substantially above. You may have remembered that initial discussion, and they have been. Our collections have been substantially above the predicted amount because we have aggressively pursued them.
Mr. Brown.
It looks like a deadline of October 30th, 2014 is,
That's pending the bill that I received from you, that it is good
'Cause we-
until the 30th.
We're meeting
So-
Thursday.
so
You're-
I've got
Thursday
in
at
my
3:30.
head-
Well,
but who's,
that's a
is it going to
payoff
come back
number.
to full council is my
We'll see.
question.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I think it
mean, I
should
would
come
imagine
back
if
to
that's
full
if
council. I
that
don't
October,
think-
that October 30th deadline is ours. I would imagine
That's our, okay.
we would
We can extend
work
that.
with
That-
Yeah,
that-
we would
We
work.
can extend
All right,
that.
that's what
We'll
I just
discuss it
wanna make
at.
sure.
We'll discuss. We'll take care of everything at committee.
Please, just so you understand, when a person calls for a payoff, they get a payoff to the end of the month. We do not prorate per day on, it's a month, we tell them what it will be at the end of the month. That way they can pay it at their leisure during that time frame. So it's a self-imposed. If he doesn't pay it, we'll go the next, it just gets another 10% added on for the next month.
18%, but yes.
It's 10%.
We will discuss it, and someone will be in touch with you.
Okay.
And you're
Okay.
more than welcome to attend that meeting Thursday at 3:30 here if you're available.
I would most definitely be available.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you for your time.
Anyone else with a personal appeal? Hearing none. Moving to community minute. Any member of council have an item for community minute? Mr. Barrett.
I'll just make some brief comments about the Halloween parade and 5K race. First of all, great night for it. No rain this time. Always better when that happens. But I just wanted to make a few brief thank yous for everyone that helped out in making the National Penn Bank Halloween in Emmaus 5K race possible, which obviously includes our parade committee, our borough police, fire, ambulance corps, and then all of our sponsors, namely National Penn Bank, who's been with us the last 8 years, the Emmaus run-in. Between those two, their contributions are quite significant each year to make it possible. EmmausSports.com was a new one this year. They helped out donating a prize. And also a soon-to-be restaurant. We've met Mitzi here before for 187 Rue Principal. She actually had kind of a unique giveaway. She was handing out to all of the runners a little card that said, if you take this card to her store, to her restaurant once they're open, she will donate $1 towards the 2015 parade, the actual parade, not the race, but the parade. So I thought that was a nice little twist, someone that clearly wants to be part of the community. We also had DJ Dutch sponsor a funniest costume prize. Thank you, Brent. And all of our runners, we had a little less than we had the previous year, but above what our average has been, 266 finishers. It was about 305 registrants. We should be able to give about $3,000 to the parade committee, again, which is exactly what the race is supposed to do. So, again, anyone that ran in the race, anyone that helped out, anyone that made it possible, a big thank you. Very much appreciated. And we'll see you next year on the third Saturday of the month.
October.
Yeah.
Mr. Ladenburg.
I just want to continue with the thank yous. You obviously have our parade committee, Kathy Mincer, John Iyer, and the rest of the crew. Like you said, the fire police, the I guess ambulance and fire department. And also, I mean, Wes, you're sending thank yous out to everyone, but thank you. This is the 8th year that you have done this, and it's an added benefit to the community. While they're waiting for the parade to start, to see crazy costumes and people running, and also the music that you provide on your car as you go by. And like I texted you earlier, I said that this is bigger and better every year, and you started it all. So thank you for doing that and keeping it going.
Thanks.
And contributing to the funding of the parade also.
Mr. Anders.
Since we're in the Halloween mood, I would like to say 6 o'clock on Thursday evening starts Trick or Treat, so all the ghouls will be out there. Please be careful on the streets as the
It's
kids
the
are.
30th.
Next
30th.
The
Yes.
30th.
30th.
The 30th.
Thursday.
The 30th.
Yeah, the third.
And just one other thing, I do see on the calendar the curbside leaf collection. It begins today, so the
Correct.
crews will be out collecting the leaves.
My leaves are all on the trees yet.
Yeah. After the rain, the next few days, I think they'll be down.
Yeah, they'll be down.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything for Mr. Shubster?
Yeah, one more. Why not? The Emmaus Arts Commission will be hosting the Student Film Festival, the 10th year for the film festival. High school and middle school students participated throughout the Lehigh Valley, and those finalists will be shown on October 26th at 2 p.m. at the Emmaus Theater.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none. Moving to special presentations, we have nothing this evening, which brings us to the reading of your minutes. In your binder, there's 2 sets of minutes, one dealing with the hearing that was held prior to council meeting. This was in reference to the transfer of the liquor license. Is there a motion to dispense with a formal reading of those minutes? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Schutz. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 7 ayes. Additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none. Motion to adopt is drafted. Motion by Mr. Schutz, second by Mr. Barrett. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 7 ayes. Which brings us to the minutes for the October 6th council meeting. Is there a motion to dispense with a formal reading of those minutes? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Schubster. Discussion. All those in favor? We have 7 ayes. Additions or corrections? Is there a motion to adopt? those minutes as drafted. Motion by Mr. Anders. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Brown. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 7 ayes. Decision on bids. We have no bids this evening, which brings us to communications. The first letter in your binder comes from Bernadine Stoller. Due to my age and physical condition, I do not feel like cannot be of service anymore to the Mass Ambulance Corps, so I'm hereby resigning as a member of the Corps. Is there a motion to accept this resignation? Motion by Mr. Brown. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Schubsta. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 7 ayes. I'm not exactly sure how long Mrs. Stoller has been a member of the Corps, but if we could send her a thank you letter for her service. The next item in your binder comes from Deborah Lilligard. She is the
Isn't that scarf?
past president of the Mass Lions Club. Apparently, the Chase the Chill event that they had originally scheduled for October 4th with the rain date of October 11th, both were rained out, and she is asking that the event be scheduled for Saturday, November 1st, and Sunday, November 2nd as the rain date. We would need to take some kind of action this evening because our next meeting isn't until November 3rd. Mr. Brown, you'll make a motion to grant permission?
Yes.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Barrett. Discussion? All those in favor? There's 7 ayes. The next item comes from Peter Gasper. Attention UMass Borough Council, I hereby submit my formal resignation as a member of the Parks and Recreation Committee. I appreciated the opportunity to serve the community. Is there a motion to accept Mr. Gasper's resignation? Motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Anders. Discussion? All those in favor? We have 7 ayes. If you could send him a thank you letter for his service as well, Mr. Pepe. I received 2 letters, both from Janie Slyman from the Public Library. She is requesting Ms. Noggle has been an active member of the valuable member, rather, of the board for several years for the library, and she is asking that she be reappointed to another 3-year term, along with Janie herself being appointed to another 3-year term, both to expire in 2017. Mr. Barrett, I'll refer these to the General Administration Committee. Also, I had received a letter from LTL Consultants looking to become the borough's engineering firm. I will refer this to General Administration as well. Also on your desk this evening, you should have received a letter from Joseph Dito, President of the Mass Veterans Committee. The Mass Veterans Committee is requesting a waiver for the cost of the rental for the Lions Pavilion in Mass Community Park on June 20th, 2015. The pavilion will be used to have a picnic to thank all members of the Mass Veterans Committee for their dedication and service. Consideration in this matter would be greatly appreciated by the Mass Veterans Committee. Thank you. I will refer this to Parks and Rec. Mr. Anders. Does any member of council have an item for communication? Mr. Pepe, do you have any? Mr. Mayor?
No.
Borough Engineers report. We have no engineer this evening. Solicitors report. Attorney Dimick.
Very briefly, Madam President, on the firemen's issue, we have been in contact with both PSAB and PELRAS. They have indicated a tentative interest and willingness to file amicus curiae, and I will keep you informed.
Thank you.
Can you tell me what those
Mr. Langberg?
acronyms are, please?
Sure. It's the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs.
Thank you.
And the Pennsylvania, I believe it's the
Public Employee
Public
Labor Advisory Service.
Thank you.
I don't go to the
I didn't even know that
PELRAS, Tom
existed.
does, I go to the PSAB. But as a practical matter, they're both state organizations that represent municipal entities, and they are, at least PSAB's Shelley Houck has said that they've been following the case and are very concerned about it and feel that it is inappropriate and could have dramatic impacts on many boroughs and many fire departments. and which is what we've been saying all along. So we'll see what happens there. That's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. Unfinished business part 1. We have nothing on the agenda this evening, which brings us to new business. In your binder, there's an ordinance number 1114. This deals with Civil Service Commission, changes in the rules and regulations. Mr. Pepe, do you want to talk about this at this point, the changes and things that the
Yes.
commission is recommending?
I apologize, I did not give you a memorandum with their proposed ordinance the other day, so I dropped it on your desk this afternoon. There are 4 basic changes that you need to know. First of all, we're moving the polygraph examination process to the background for the applicants, and the reason is you tentatively hired 2 different people last year, both of which failed the polygraph. We had it drug things out weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, several months. What we're finding is really, by the time they get to you, the final 3 people, in all honesty, they should be the 3 top candidates that have passed everything. They're ready to go other than a psychological and a physical. So it only makes sense to put the polygraph as part of the background. And that way, if somebody fails a polygraph exam, we disqualify them, we move the next person up, we give them the polygraph exam. The polygraph exam is by far the most worthwhile thing that we've done with this process. It's not what they lie about, it's what they tell us. And that's the scary thing, as you've all been advised. And we won't talk about that in any more detail. The other thing that we did was we clarified what the meaning of certified list of candidates means. We had some definition misunderstanding in the ordinance in terms of what the eligibility list was versus the certified list of candidates. So we cleared that up. Nothing changes. It's for reading purposes and really just clarifying and understanding what you're doing there. General qualifications. That was a big discussion item. That's something that we spoke about at length in our meetings and in preparing the proposed changes. One of our issues last year was we had probably 3 or 4 veterans who did not have college degrees, did not have enough credits, but went to Iraq, went to Afghanistan, went across the seas, fought for us, but were not eligible to be police officers because they didn't have the college credits. So we looked at that and we said, what do we lose at the end of the day if we just say you have to have a GED or high school diploma? Because you still have to go through the competitive process. You still have to beat everybody else on the written exam. You still have to beat everybody else on the oral exam. You still have to pass the physical fitness test. What do we really lose if we open that up and broaden the base for applicants? If somebody with a high school diploma is smarter than and does better than somebody that has a master's degree in criminal justice, then so be it. They deserve that opportunity. So that was the reasoning behind the thought process with that. And the last thing that we changed was the idea of in our current ordinance, we conduct backgrounds of blocks of 5. And we think that's a waste of resources, really. We want to do the first 3. And if for some reason one of the top 3 people fail the background or to get disqualified or decide they don't want the job, whatever it might be, instead of doing the next lot of 5 people, we do the next person. So we do 3, and then it's 1, 1, 1, 1. It takes about 3 weeks for one of our detectives to do a background. So that's a lot of resources, a lot of investment of manpower, sometimes overtime labor, depending on where they have to drive, because we go wherever they've lived, if it's within reason. Knock on neighbors' doors, talk to employers, talk to other testing agencies. So it's a lot of commitment, and the feeling is we really care about the top 3 candidates. That's all we really, at the end of the day, that's all you're hiring is one of the top 3. So doing 8 backgrounds or 7 backgrounds really doesn't get us anything unless, again, we keep throwing candidates out. But if we're taking 3 weeks at a shot to finish one person, the process continues to drag. And we saw that in trying to get another person up to the interview list because we had to do the next block of 5 before we could move up the 4th person. So that's our last proposed change, and really that's That's a gist of what we're proposing.
Mr. Levenberg?
So to summarize, just through trial and error, we made this more efficient, and it should save us money.
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
If I may, Madam President.
Yes, sir.
I was the civil service solicitor when this was initiated, and many of these changes are changes that I had been working on. I think Shane did an excellent job of summarizing the critical issue. The bottom line was in 2010, they passed a statute that changed the whole civil service structure all the way down to with the quorum and having alternates. In 2012, they then passed the borough code, the new borough code, and that changed more things. And during that time frame, I had written it. The Civil Service Commission had passed the changes from 2010's law, but council never acted on them because the new borough code was pending. So now they've caught up. John Ashley's done a nice job working on this. The bottom line, if I had to pick one critical area for you to really look at, is Section 310, which is the general qualifications. Many communities are sticking with a requirement that to be qualified, you have to have Act 120 certification. They do that so they don't have any wait time, that people are ready to go, and they don't have to put them through school. We have been more, our prior position was, we'll let you in, we'll let you go to school, but you have to have these qualifications. We're now removing those qualifications because of the veterans issues that Mr. Pepe explained to you, and I think that is probably